I'm on. Sorry about that, I didn't know that. Usually mine has a red light. My name's Dick Lippert, and Dan LaBar has brought his 39 Ford hood to me for louvering. And this is a very good example of a hood that's ready for louvering. He has stripped the paint from the top of the hood. He's also stripped the paint from the back. And maybe that's only the one disadvantage of louvering. Once you louver something, want to strip the paint, it's a lot easier to do it when it's flat. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to try and come up with some kind of a pattern that's, that Dan likes and that I can do. And on a 39 Ford hood, it's a very triangular shape. So what we have to do is louver it, and we'll have to drop back probably 9, maybe even as many as 10 louvers. So I will place something on the hood here, and then Dan can tell me if he likes it or not. Maybe he has some ideas. This hood here, because of its shape, you're kind of limited to 3 rows of louvers. To get them all in, we want to stay away from the curve. We don't want to be louvering over into a curve. So we'll be probably coming up with something like this. I've got about 3 1/4 inches there, Dan. And probably a 4 1/2 inch spacing for that, and about a 4 1/2 right here. So this will be where I am suggesting to Dan where we start the louvers, someplace in this area, approximately 3 1/4 from the center, and we'll, like I say, we'll probably be dropping back 9 or 10 louvers. And this will tend to follow the shape of the hood. Dan, do you have any input on this?
Yeah, I just like to keep as many louvers in the first row to keep us forward.
Okay.
I don't want the louvers centered back here. I'd like it to be more open to the whole hood.
Okay. I'll measure from back here, get a dimension, and everything that we talk about on this side will be transferred to the back side of the hood. Now, in the back, Dan, what we can do in a 39 Ford hood is a perfect hood for this. Is what I generally do on a hood of this type is drop back 1 louver on each row, and so we can end up with something like this.
Sure, it follows the
It'll tend to follow the V of the hood. It's where the windshield would be, back by the windshield.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
And 39 40 Ford hoods, dropping 1 louver each just almost matches it. It was made for louvers. So anyway, we've got an idea what Dan wants, and so what we'll do is turn the hood over now, and I'll lay out the back side. Louvering is something that you can't, or laying it out I should say, is something that you just can't rush into. You kind of look around to see what the shape of the hood is. Kind of get an idea of where the radius is, so that we're not trying to louver in an area that has a radius, too great of a radius into it. So it has to be done very accurately because louvers cannot be erased, and it's kind of one of those things where you measure twice and punch once. So we don't want to make any mistakes. What I've done, actually Dan dropped the hood off a couple days ago. That gave me time to lay it out because a lot of time is spent laying out the hood. So I already have lines on here, but it's just basically measuring from the center very accurately, scribing lines from one end to the other, measuring over from that line. In this case it'll be 4 1/2 inches, laying out lines and scribing lines into the hood. This will ensure that all rows of louvers are parallel to each other, and we'll be in good shape. When we actually start louvering, we will louver the longest row first. And we'll take a look at it, and I would like the first row would be right down through here. The second row will start approximately where that line is right there. So what I will do is on the louver, I will lay a scale or some other straight edge on a finished louver and scribe a line over here, and that will be the starting position for this row. And also the same when I get down to the third row. I will pick a louver here, scribe a line off of that, and come over here. And what that does for you, when someone stands to the side of the hood and sights across the louvers, all the louvers will be in alignment. So I guess we'll put it into the machine, and this will take a few minutes, so if Larry wants to shut the film off. Okay, what we're doing now is hooking up standards to support the hood. We don't want to wear Dan out, and these are very heavy. When I do late model Chevy pickup hoods, my son says, "Oh no, not another one," because a late model Chevy pickup hood they're wider than they are long, and they are heavy suckers. So there's a lot of maneuvering that has to go on to get a hood to lay properly on the die. And I'm using chains on this particular setup, and I hope we don't run out of standard height because there's so much depth to a 39 Ford hood. If this doesn't work, I may have to go back to my old system, and it's been a while since I've done 39 Ford hood. So we'll try this. See what happens.
Well, you know, Dick, if the louvers don't work out, it's going to make a great toboggan.
Awful expensive toboggan. Besides, the louvers would act as brakes. Okay, let's see if it's going to do it. You can reach it. You can film me this if you want. Great. Yeah, I think we'll use the other one. Use the other method. Work. Hope it will work.
We can edit the thing.
It's all right. You can show a mistake. By getting set up here, I'd like to call your attention to the fact that Dan took the brace out in the back, and that does have to happen on a lot of hoods. You'll end up with a better louvering job by taking a brace like that out, because if the brace was still in here, all the louvers would have to stop prior to that. And what would happen is I wouldn't be able to follow the back of the hood, like I mentioned earlier. And the louvers would be kind of forward and just wouldn't be too appealing. So, like I say, this is a good example of a hood that's ready for louvering.
Further up, I think.
Yeah, approximately there. gotta turn mine.
There we go. Let's see, we got,
Eventually I'll have an overhead track here that'll support the louvers. If you want to film that, Larry. Eventually I'll have an overhead track here that will support the hood. These will move along and there'll be a device so I can move in any direction. And all I need is time. Someday when I retire. Okay,
could we
Dan.
lay a level on that to,
No, what we'll do is we'll slide the hood all the way back, and we'll get the louver on my side first.
okay?
It's a case of visually lining up the hood on the side. So I'll bring mine down and you can raise yours up. And if you use one hand right down where I got mine down, right down here.
Okay. I gotta come up.
You might pinch your hand, but you want to lift the hood. You can come up more. More. Good. Maybe we'll both come down a little. Okay, now I gotta put a little spacer in the back.
Don't worry too much about it. It'll come back out.
Gotta raise it some more.
Mine okay?
Now you gotta come up.
I've gotta come up.
Are we on there? Are we on?
Yep, we've been on.
Okay.
But we can edit whatever out you want.
What, what we're doing here is trying to get the hood to lay properly on the die. And 39, 40 Ford hoods have a lot of curves in them, so probably we'll be able to punch one or two louvers and then we'll have to readjust. And this is to keep the metal laying flat on the die. In other words, we can't have the hood setting like this and try and punch a louver. It has to be setting right on the die. So that's all this adjusting and monkeying around. And this is just one of the things that's kind of time consuming. Also, I noticed I have to move over a little more. So that'll probably change a little bit. Where's our line? Okay, so we'll take another look here. I'll put some more under that. You want to raise your side? A little higher. Okay. We have the hood set for the first louver, and I'm going to bring the punch down. It'll get very noisy. Sorry about that. And so I will probably take me more than a couple of minutes to get that first louver, because this hood is probably the worst example for you, the viewer, trying to see what's happening here because of the high sides on this hood. And it makes it also more difficult for me to line up on that first scribed line that I have at the front edge of the hood here. And so I'll be a couple minutes, so Larry will probably have to shut off here in a minute. Well, we got the first one in, right or wrong?
It makes a pretty good snap sound when she goes in, doesn't it?
Yep.
Sure, how far do you think the camera jumps?
On this hood, the first one is a SOB.
I guess it was.
And
Geez, you hit the mark. Can't believe how perfect that is. That's what I wanted to ask you. How do
Yeah,
you
we
lay
did.
out the next one?
okay, after you get your first one, then it's going to be Dan's job. Usually my son does this. It's going to be Dan's job to going to be Dan's job to slide the hood back and put the finished louver up against the die. This automatically gives you the spacing. In this case, I'm using 1.25 inches. So,
Okay, I see a
Hopefully.
lip right along the, right on the, okay, right along the edge of the die.
yeah.
Now our back went away though, didn't it?
I can double check it on my end.
Okay.
You have the option of using this light or not.
Okay.
It's up to you. One time I had a light here for my son. He didn't like it, so I took it out. It's a two-hand job. So you put this line right on the center of that line, right down there. And then you will have to rock the hood to make sure that it's firmly up against that die.
Looks like we're there.
Okay, here we go.